Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. He's Rogers, I'm Patrick, and we're pleased to welcome in a good friend and a man who's a busy guy at this point in time in the year. Luckily, he's back to being busy this time this year as opposed to last year. We're joined by Carter Blackburn, one of the CBS college basketball voices and the man who will be on the call of LSU and St. Bonaventure. Carter, how are you, man?
Rogers and Patrick, I'm elated. I am enthusiastic. I am just over the moon at having, number one, the chance to talk with you.
Well, sure.
And number two, the chance to have an NCAA tournament before us and to have the basketball games back. I mean, I've been, calling basketball off of mostly, TV screens for most of this year, and just a chance to have games before us. I mean, I'm thrilled. It's back living the dream, and it feels great.
You know what's interesting, Carter, is I have not yet called a single game remotely. I've been with Northwestern State the whole time, so my experience, and because I've talked to plenty of play-by-play guys, yourself included, who have done mostly or all remote broadcasting, where you're basically just calling a TV show at that point. I'm curious, what's that been like? Kind of the difference between sitting at home and calling a game off a monitor versus knowing, hey, this thing's right here in front of me, because I haven't gotten to experience what you've been experiencing.
Well, I'll say this, and I mean it with all sincerity. Like, CBS Sports, my employer, has been phenomenal about every piece of it, including the health and safety.
Sure,
and they really have been. So when it was like, hey, here's the plan, absolutely, I'll do, anything, anywhere. But last week I got to go to the Conference USA. So Conference USA tournament, the semifinals and the championship game with Avery Johnson. Great championship game, North Texas, Western Kentucky overtime. And it was like, I felt like I was 8 years old and I had never seen anyone run and jump. I'm like, oh my gosh, he went and grabbed a rebound. Like, look at that. It's the most amazing thing. And then Avery and I did a lot of games from at home, and he's one of my favorite basketball players of all time. He's one of my favorite people of all time. He's one of my favorite broadcast partners of all time. So there was one point where, Avery just said something along the lines of I'm not even going to do my Avery Johnson. I'm not going to go.
Come on, you're not going to. You got to talk out of the side of your mouth when you do it. I love Avery.
I mean, once I started doing a Pete Gillen impression, nobody will let me stop doing a Pete Gillen impression.
Sure.
So look, the rest of Cedric the Entertainer has Avery, right? Like Kings of Comedy, totally. Like, I've got Gillen, Cedric has Avery, but Avery said something about here's what I'd be looking for out of this next time out, and that's exactly what played out. And ball goes through the net. And we look at each other oh, wow. And it just felt so good. I mean, I seriously, and I'll tell you this, when North Texas won the game in overtime and the celebration began and the confetti was flying, it was emotional for the players, the players, the coaches, the team. It was such a release, but it was for me too, to just be there, a part of it again. And that was where I was a year ago when everything got canceled. And it was, I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to have these games back and of course, we all love March. We all love the madness. And that's so true, but it's especially special this year. I feel it. And that's my primary objective as a broadcaster over the next week. Whatever chances I have to show how much we love being here and how excited we are to have it back. That's, the stats and the seeds and the whatever can't get in the way of the fact that it's just a wonderful event we have back.
Hey, give me some idea of the logistics involved here. Where will you be? By the way, I don't even know what venue are y'all in for the first round.
So I'll be with Debbie Antonelli and Evan Washburn and Dana Jacobson for the next Friday and Saturday at Assembly Hall.
Okay.
At Assembly Hall in Bloomington.
Not a bad place.
Yeah, so let's just say I'm jotting down notes right now about Christian Watford and Keith Smart's ties to this LSU Tiger basketball team. So, it's plenty of drama. I mean, we had Utah State's one of the teams we had. Their head coach Craig Smith was, just talking about how cool it is to walk into Assembly Hall. And yet again, it's like a total dream come true. Hey, you get to do the NCAA tournament from Assembly Hall, one of the coolest basketball venues anywhere.
Well,
awesome.
I'm of the opinion that they should just move the finals to Butler, to Hinkle Fieldhouse. I think it would be amazing.
I remember when this was just kind of like a pipe dream or a possibility. When you spin it back to November and December, and how really dire those days were, and thinking like, hey, if we can have a tournament in March, and if we can do it this way in Indiana, like how amazing would that be? And it's like, don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up too much that you have all of these super cool venues. So now that being said, like 2 teams playing in a ballroom, I'd be there for that. A blacktop and a chain basket, like I'm in.
Remember that was talked about last year at one point that they were going to put like 4 courts in a ballroom and just play it that way. So that the fact that we have actual venues, are they letting fans in? By the way, what's the story there?
How about this for a big political answer? I know nothing about any of the regulations, rules, protocols, whatever, except the ones that I am following. So I don't know. I'll refer that to Dan Gavitt, the senior vice president of the NCAA, who is wonderful, by the way. And this is, I'm not just saying this because I'm in, a part of it, but like this is the finest hour for the NCAA crew in Indianapolis and what they've done to put this together. Yeah. It really is.
It's been
obviously there's been plenty of issues over the years and things like that, but man, this is coming together the way it should be, and it's thrilling.
Yeah, it really is. Will y'all be courtside or will y'all be elevated?
I don't even know that, Patrick. I really have I'm sure I have that in an email somewhere.
Right. You're going to walk in and they're going to point to your headsets and you're going to go, I'm happy to be here. Let's go. I'm on the roof or I'm in the basement.
Totally right. That's anywhere you want to put me. I'm just happy to be here, baby.
Carter,
just throw the ball in the air. As you can tell, I'm slapping the floor, except I don't think that's allowed.
Well,
I will not slap the
ball.
I won't come close to it.
The ball is tipped, and there you are.
Hang on. Write that down, okay. Patrick. That's a good line. The ball is
tipped, and there you are.
Oh, that's a
Let me see if I can expound on that. You're running for your life. You're a shooting star. How about that? That's just a start.
Wait, hang on. Let me grab. My pen's not writing fast enough. I got to write this down.
It's genius.
Hey, I know you read everything I ever put out there.
Sure.
Can you answer the trivia question of who was the first head coach featured in One Shining Moment in 1987 after Keith Smart's baseline J to win it?
Was it Gillen?
That is correct.
I read your missive on Pete Gillen, and it was really good. It was fabulous.
Yeah, that's like, and when I discovered that, I mean, that's no joke that I told Pete. I said, "Did you really?" Oh God, I never knew that. It was at One Shining Moment. I remember. Yeah, I was probably sweating. Probably a little bit nervous, but that's good stuff.
I also appreciate the fact that you went ahead and shoehorned in your Gillen impression while you were there. I applaud you for that, sir. Play to your strengths.
Thank you. You don't know the number of times that you usually would out of 8 teams that we're talking to,
mm-hmm.
I would say the majority, including Will Wade, will request the Pete Gillen impression
mm-hmm.
from me because it's become rather a signature. And of course, Pete being the nicest person ever has a lot of fun with me doing an impersonation of him, which, others not so happy. Some other people might claw your eyes out if you try to do a funny impression of them in front of all of your professional colleagues.
Carter, I'm about to blow your mind, sir. After neither one of us knew if fans would be allowed in the venues this year, I immediately texted Dave Warlock, the media relations director for the NCAA, and he said 25% capacity will be at all the venues. So we've got the answer to that question right here before we get up.
You just got that answer?
Literally just
right
texted him, and he literally just texted me back. That's the
Like
power of the
Warlock.
Patrick Netherton show. I'm just saying.
No, that's man, you pull amazing feats.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I know.
Well, obviously Dave does a phenomenal job. And yes, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. We always enjoy our time together around sporting events.
Well, that actually brings up an interesting question with 25% capacity, because today is the as I'm sure you've noted on all of my social media, today's the 15th year anniversary of the Northwestern State victory over Iowa in the first round of the tournament in 06 on the last second shot.
Yes.
And one of the things that I noted about that was I was up 17 with 8.5 minutes left. And Clifton Lee, who's not the kid that hit the last second shot, is going off. He's hitting shots. He's knocking down threes. And the lead is narrowing and narrowing. And as it is, everyone that's not an Iowa fan in the Palace of Auburn Hills is getting behind the Demons. And so I wonder if, because you're going to have 25% capacity, might you see fewer upsets because there won't be that sort of emotion and momentum, because everyone in the building wants the 13 seed to win or the 14 seed to win, except the fans of the team that's the better seed. Do you think there might be some play with that, with, hey, you might not see those kind of upsets because there won't be that level of emotion in the building because there's 25% capacity?
Let me give you a definitive hot take on all of that. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. And anyone who does tell you that they have an idea as to how this is going to play out is a darn fool, because nobody knows what is going to happen in any NCAA tournament, especially one that is totally different, totally unique. You're going to have more time in between games, less fans, different buildings. So it will be. I mean, Dennis Gates, coach of Cleveland State with the 15 seed. To quote him, really said, "It is going to be unlike any basketball tournament that has ever been played."
Yeah,
and that is it was kind of like, oh yeah, you kind of lose that in the in all of the rest of it. It's like, oh yeah, this will be unlike any basketball tournament that has ever been played.
It's
wild. Clearly the season's different, but yes, it absolutely anything. But it will be, yeah. I mean, that whole thing of the building taking over with the underdog is it's very strange. I mean, let's see. I had the Northern Iowa, the Aggies coming back 14 on Northern Iowa in 43 seconds, which Dave Warlock, in fact, it's the Dave Warlock show now.
Yeah.
He was the one who confirmed that was the biggest upset, come from behind upset actually in college basketball history, with the 44 seconds.
Right, in the length of time.
Right, in the length of time. But yeah, it's all interesting from those. That was a scenario where some of the A&M parents left. And then they get outside, and then, of course, you've got, the big video monitor outside.
Yeah.
And here come the Aggies on the way back, and they're like, we couldn't get back into the game.
We'll let you back in.
Clearly, you shouldn't have left, but...
No doubt. Talking to Carter Blackburn from CBS, one of the men who is involved, and the men and one woman this year, Carter, which is pretty awesome. I know you know Lisa a little bit. Tell me about kind of the coolness of that, especially because you're one of the guys that works with a female analyst, which is starting to become a lot more commonplace now. How cool is that on your end?
It's very cool. Debbie Antonelli, who's my partner, was one of my first broadcast partners when I started getting opportunities to do basketball games on TV. I mean, we're talking 03, 04, 05. So Debbie literally showed me how she had this amazing new device that would allow you to send emails on your phone.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And she was demonstrating. This was a conversation we had in the South Bend airport after a Notre Dame game. So, yeah, so Debbie we've just even in the time we weren't working directly together, we always kept in touch and like see eye to eye and have the fun of it. And Debbie is one who, I mean, if there's a basketball bouncing somewhere, she is going to find it. Like, no matter the gym, no matter who's playing, it is all. I mean, when I say that Debbie has already watched every single block shot from Utah State center Namish Keita, all 90 of them, she has. So, and we were together actually all in Milwaukee. Lisa Byington, who's play-by-play this year, the first female play-by-play voice of March Madness, was with when Debbie Antonelli, Mike Jaminski, myself, and Lisa Byington in Milwaukee. First year that Debbie's doing the men's tournament, and Lisa was with us, and we had a phenomenal, wonderful time. And it's very, very cool. It's super cool. The one thing I sent Lisa a note, I said, "Hey, have fun." And she responded like, "That was exactly what I needed to hear, because I understand you get this avalanche of research and prep, yes. And of course it's like that's great, but you gotta have fun with every single piece of it." And I know she will, and phenomenal. And the credentials and the knowledge are unimpeachable. That from everyone who is working this tournament, including female colleagues. And I have this conversation with my wife a lot. She works in the wine biz, which is a different business, but has some parallels. And it's just I'm thrilled for the opportunities my female colleagues get in this business, because every single one of them has been completely earned and overdue, and deservedly so. Yeah. So I'm very happy for Lisa, as I was happy for Debbie.
Well, Lisa had a brush with greatness back in 2007. She got to sit next to Rogers Hampton at one of the Final Four games on Saturday. So
wow.
So she didn't realize just how privileged she really was back in the day.
That's probably where her basketball knowledge comes from.
Probably. Yeah. Rogers at 5'5", Rogers was a tremendous basketball player back in the day. Hey, I can't let you go and not talk about LSU St. Bonaventure.
I thought you were. I was going to complete that sentence for you without talking about barbecue, but you want to talk about the 8-9 matchup?
Yeah, I mean,
including the LSU Tigers.
Kind of people around here seem to be interested in LSU. Walk me through.
That's breaking news. Okay,
right.
Good.
Well, what you see is, and obviously people around here aren't necessarily going to be super knowledgeable about St. Bonaventure. But in kind of doing a little research on it, what it seems like is the Bonnies run a lot of sets. They're a very set-oriented offense, and the one weakness that LSU seems to have is interest in playing defense. They, when they want to play, they lock down. They can be good defenders, but they don't necessarily always seem to want to play defense. Give us the Bonnies, the scouting report on St. Bonaventure, and what LSU fans need to be looking for.
Well, it sounds like you have it all figured out.
Okay, well, Carter, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and the brisket, I have in the freezer. I'm really thrilled about getting to after the madness. No, I tell you what, it's going to be 5-on-5. Like, there might not be, like, seriously, keep an eye on this bench scoring in St. Bonaventure LSU. It might be 0. There might be 0. There might not be a substitution in this basketball game, because I think about how tight the LSU rotation is. Well, St. Bonaventure is the same way. St. Bonaventure has 5 players who play 33 minutes or more per game.
Wow.
So there may not be a substitution in this game. It's very, very tight. I mean, Mark Schmidt is one of the best basketball coaches in America, and everyone talks about, gosh, it's a hard job at St. Bonaventure. It's like, well, also they have a winning basketball tradition.
Sure.
Winning basketball tradition. So, no, it's phenomenal. He's a great coach. It's a great 8-9 matchup. I mean, it really, really is. But yes, would there be concern that if it's a yes, would it be a concern that defense would probably be the biggest concern? I mean, we we know the Tigers can score. I mean, obviously Trenton was awesome in the SEC tournament, especially. I mean, I don't think Cameron Thomas getting buckets that's not
right.
breaking news.
That's not high on the list of concerns.
No. It's not high on the list, but no, they're very good. St. Bonaventure is very, very good. Yeah, tight rotation. They are 5th in the nation in scoring defense, 60 points per game given up. I mean, yeah, the numbers are all boring. They're really good defensively. They don't substitute. They're tight, and it should be an electric 8-9 matchup. Just to say that it's an 8-9 game.
Yeah,
it sounds so good to be talking about it again.
Well, and obviously, before I let you go, we have to talk about barbecue, Carter. We need to do that. How are the skills coming? Carter, for those that don't know, is an Austinite, and as part of the Austin community, he is required by law to smoke meats at various intervals during the course of his year, and so the man. Apparently, I have not gotten to sample any of this, but apparently the man is quite the savant on the old smoker. Tell me about the adventures in smoking, Carter.
Well, thank you. I would say I'm downright arrogant about my meat smoking.
So you're a Texan, skills. Is what you're saying. You're a Texan.
It is rather intrinsic, isn't it?
Yes.
We had during the snowpocalypse, we had wonderful neighbors who helped our family in many, many ways. And when it was time to say thank you to the neighbors, there was one request from all around the neighborhood, which was just smoke us a bunch of meats and then distribute.
There you go.
So I can the Saya's my beloved statsman Alan Thriftley brought me Saya's seasoning, which I guess is actually Walker's seasoning. And not rub, I know, seasoning. And that seasoning on the last batch of ribs that I did was really extra terrific. So probably the best ribs I've ever done. I do have brisket plans at some point soon. And then, the smoked meatloaf is really it's a labor intensive dish, but I can tell you that the last time I did a batch of the smoked meatloaf and distributed that, there were offers to fund a restaurant or food trailer based on the smoked meatloaf. So I guess stay tuned for when we're going to crack that Texas Monthly Top 50 list with the smoked meatloaf.
Well, I can
and others.
I can get you in touch with Daniel Vaughn. All right, Daniel and I are close, so I can make that happen for you.
Well, I've oftentimes said the biggest omission on that list is my front yard.
Well,
of top barbecue places in the state of Texas.
Now, I don't want to say anything, but it is spring football for the FCS, and Northwestern State is playing at Incarnate Word in San Antonio in April. So that puts me in the neighborhood. I'm just saying, but not saying. If you happen to be smoking a brisket around that point in time,
Okay, sounds like we have some pretty good April plans.
Yes. I like some good April plans.
I'll break out the guitar and play you Willie Nelson and Jerry Jeff Walker.
Wait a second. Hold on. I'm just talking about barbecue, Carter. I don't need Willie Nelson involved in this thing.
But no one wise ever rejects Willie Nelson tunes.
Well, look,
you could.
Hey, if you're doing Willie,
Bill Rapp, what would Bill Raftery do?
That's true.
I spent another piece of living the dream was during the spring. I did a lot of FaceTime playing guitar for the entire Raftery family.
Wow!
As Bill got on a big Willie Nelson kick during April and May. So that was one shining moment. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Well, hey, look,
great.
When it comes to brisket and Willie Nelson, smoking is absolutely the thing. There is no doubt about it. Thank you,
I'm
Rogers.
I'm talking about oak and pecan related to smoked meats.
What do you think I was
else
talking
is outside
about?
of my purview.
I don't know
anything else is outside of my purview.
Carter, you're the best, man. Look, I'm so excited that you're getting to be back in the element, and in the grind of prepping for 8 teams, but knowing that all along we're going to have an NCAA tournament. I know it's exciting, brother. I'm so happy for you.
Hey, Rogers, can you clip that thing where Patrick just said, Carter, you're the best, and just keep playing that on the show, or maybe even just send it to me so I can make it my ringtone?
We will do that, Carter. It will become a new Patrick Netherton drop.
Fantastic. That's you got it whenever Timmy B comes on. That's
well, no, we already have a Timmy B drop.
The Iron Unkind.
There you go. We already have the Iron Unkind. So we're ready to go. Carter, hey, man, have a lot of fun out there this week, brother.
Thanks, pals. I guarantee you we'll have fun with it.
Beautiful. What I love to hear. Carter Blackburn, play-by-play voice for CBS. Got the LSU St. Bonaventure game coming up.